Yes, my dear students, staying at home, you can make a follow-up with me. The first scene in All My Sons, written by Arthur Miller. I'm going to cover with you from page 1 to page 17. So please have a pen in your hand because you might translate, highlight, underline, and write. Page 1 in your text starts with a description of Killer's house, which was a big one. It was a luxurious house. Then we have a description of Joe Keller himself, who was in his late 50s. He was a heavy man of stolid mind and build. He was a businessman. He was uneducated person. So please move to page 2 and 3. You will find a dialogue between Joe Keller and Jim, his neighbor. And Jim was a doctor, and he was married to Sue, and she was a nurse, and she helped and supported him a lot till he became a doctor, and they had 3 daughters. Dr. Frank, who was married to Lydia, entered the Killer's house. He saw Dr. Jim, and Dr. Jim and Frank was completely different than each other. Dr. Frank was interested in horoscopes, علم الأبراج. But Dr. Jim found this superstition untrue. So, if you moved to page 4, I think we are going to meet some important sentences and some important comments. A dialogue between Frank, who was interested in horoscopes. He said to Joe Keller at the backyard of Joe Keller's house. Larry was born in August. He had been at 27 this month, and his tree blows down. So these words underline with me in page 4, nearly in the middle of it, this comment. Larry was born in August. He had been at 27 this month, and his tree blows down. These words were said by Frank to Joe Keller, and he was talking about Larry's tree. That tree which was planted by both Chris and Joe Keller to stand as a reminder of Larry, who was reported missing on the 25th of November 1943. And before Anne came to the Kellers, that tree was blown down by a strong wind, by a storm. Keller touched it. It means he was affected. I am surprised you remembered his birthday, Frank. That's nice. Frank said, I'm working on his horoscope. For sure, his refers to Larry. So, in question number 2 on the screen before you, what's a favorable day and what is a horoscope? We are going to underline to say the answers of the 2 questions, which are in page number 4. Yes. A horoscope is at the bottom of the page on your left. You will find the answer. A horoscope is a description what is going to happen to a person based on the position of the stars and the planets at the time of the person's birth. Again, a horoscope is a description of what's going to happen to a person based on the position of the stars and the planets at the time of the person's birth. So what about a favorable day? A favorable day for a person, the last 3 lines in page 4. Underline with me, please. A favorable day for a person is a fortunate day according to his stars. In other words, it will be practically impossible for him to have died on his favorable day. On his favorable day. Frank said too, that's what I'm working on to find out. So Frank was working on to find out the horoscope of Larry because he wanted to prove that the 25th of November 1943 was Larry's favorable day. It means he was still alive somewhere in the world. He wasn't dead. Nothing wrong happened to him. And Kate herself asked Frank to do Larry's horoscope because everyone believes that Larry was dead a long time ago, except for Kate, who was living in illusion. She thought that her son was missing and one day he would come back, and she was still waiting for him to come. And she thought that Anne, his fiancée, was still waiting for him, although Anne forgot about Larry's matter a long time ago. So my dear little brothers and sisters staying at home, we can jump to page 8. A dialogue between Lydia, Frank's wife, and Joe Keller. Lydia for sure asked about Anne and whether Anne was waiting for Larry to come or not. The father, Joe Keller, replied, she can't mourn a boy. She can't mourn a boy. لا تستطيع أن تحزن. She can't mourn a boy forever. He meant to say that she forgot about his son's concern. She can't mourn a boy forever. Yes. Yes, my dear little brothers and sisters. In page 10 and page 11, you knew in a class that Joe Keller hired a young boy to work as a detective to tell Joe Keller about his neighbors and what do they say about him, because deep in his heart he knew that he was the real murderer of the crime committed in the play. And he knew that Steve, who was put in prison in Columbus, was innocent and he was guilty. But all the time, he was ignoring that fact in order to keep his family, to keep his business going. Bert entered the backyard to tell Joe Keller what his neighbors say about him. So Joe Keller in page 11, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, line 7. He said to Bert, there is a jail in the basement. I showed you my gun. Underline with me. There is jail in the basement. I showed you my gun. These words were said by Joe Keller to Bert, the young boy who was hired as a detective, because Joe Keller convinced the boy that he had a jail in the basement and he could jail anyone he wanted. And the boy was convinced. That's very mysterious. Yes, move to page 12. A dialogue between the son Chris and his father Joe Keller. And Joe asked his son whether his mom Kate Keller saw the blown down tree or not. Chris told his father that his mother really saw the blown down tree, and that his mom was dreaming about Larry because she was always dreaming about him. And that when she saw the blown down tree, the answer for question number 6 on the board, she cried. She felt discomfort. She was upset. She went to the kitchen. She cried there. She entered her bedroom and cried there till she slept. So the father and son sympathized with Kate Keller, who was living in illusion. And because they let her believe that Larry was still alive, and let her believe that they believe like her, that Larry was still alive. So if we move to page 13, line 13, you will find important comment. Dad, we have made a terrible mistake with mother, being dishonest with her. We have made a terrible mistake with mother, being dishonest with her. These words were said by Chris Keller to Joe Keller, his father. And what did he mean by the terrible mistake? The terrible mistake that they let Kate believe that Larry was still alive, and they believed like her that Larry was still alive. It was better to tell her the truth since the very beginning. The Chris wanted to tell his father that Chris now is paying the price of this lie, of this illusion. The father replied in page 14 saying, the trouble is the Qudami newspaper. The trouble is the Qudami newspaper, the cursed newspaper, Al-Gharaid al-Mal'una. Every month, some boy turns up equal, appears from somewhere. So the next one is going to be Larry. In Kate's viewpoint. So here, Joe Keller wanted to tell Chris that what increased Kate's illusion, the American newspaper, because every day they published that a boy was missing long time ago before Larry and went back home safely. So Kate said, why not the next one would be my son Larry? Why not? Yes. The boy, Chris, who was 32 years old, who loved Anne and invited her to come to get married, for sure he knew that the obstacle would be his mom, because she would not agree to the marriage. She would not bless the marriage. سوف لا تبارك الزواج. Because she knew that Anne was Larry's girl, and Anne one day who would come back. So how could she let Chris marry the girl of his brother? So we are going to say the answer to question number 7. How did Chris want his father to help him? How did Chris threaten his father? Chris wanted his father to convince his mother Kate that Larry was dead long time ago. In that case, he could marry Anne. When the father refused to interfere, because the father thought that would be the end of his wife, Kate Keller. How did he threaten his father? He threatened his father to leave the house, to leave the business, and go somewhere else to live, because money doesn't interest Chris. He was a man of principles. He wasn't materialistic like his father was. He considered money as a means to an end, not an end in itself. The father replied, you marry that girl, number 10. You marry that girl, page 16, in the middle of it. You can underline with me. You marry that girl, and you are pronouncing him dead. You marry that girl refers to whom? Good Anne. Pronouncing him refers to whom? Good Larry. You married that girl and you are pronouncing him dead. It means Joe Keller wanted to tell his son Chris that his marriage to Anne would be the end of his mom. He wanted to assure this. Yes. For sure, when Chris said that he would leave the house, leave the business, his father was shocked and told his son that I spent 40 years of hard work building this business, and now you say to me, leave the business. How come leave the business? How come? How come you leave everything I built for you? I had 2 sons, now I had only 1 son. How come? I think I reached page 17. I wish I helped you to understand this part of Act 1, Scene 1. Till we meet next time, you can answer the questions before you on the screen. And I told you where the answers are. I wish you the best luck. Till we meet next time, next episode, next session. It will be very near. I wish you the best luck. God be with you. Stay safe.